As a child, I was very protected, very timid. I didn't think that I had the courage to move on my own. That's because I never tried. So I went to college, which was just down the road. I remember that every time I went for a competition or anything, my mother would accompany me. I had a dad who was like an absentee father. He was in the Gulf during my 10th standard. When he did come back, I had a lot of difficulty in adjusting with my father because I saw a different father. Earlier I used to see a Santa Claus father who used to come once a year and give me all the goodies that I wanted. And now I saw a different father who started making new rules and regulations. And I couldn't understand that because all my brothers and everybody were away from the house and I was the only one. And I saw a father who was like very autocratic because he had a very lonely life in the Gulf. His only companion was alcohol. I saw him before alcohol and after alcohol, so I knew what it was. And maybe as a young child, it had affected me to think that people, if I ever choose a life partner, it should be somebody who doesn't drink. That was kind of embedded in my mind. So the first person I met in my life that I thought, I married him. And I thought, why should anybody have anything to say about this person? Because he does not drink, he doesn't smoke, he's a good man. That was even if he didn't have money, it was fine. So I never looked at anybody's faith or where they came from. As long as a person was a person who didn't drink, I thought he was a nice person. I felt that there was nothing wrong. He was a hardworking man. He wanted to come up on his own. He had the passion for life, and that's what I saw. He had an ambition. More than that, and he was ready to baptize if we had kids, he was ready to baptize the kids. He was ready to come to get married in the church. What more could I have asked? My parents were against this marriage because he was of a different faith. But I looked at him as an individual. I looked at him as a person. I was friends with him for 2 years. And so I thought that this was the person, this is the right person. They may be having their own views about what they wanted for me because I was the only daughter. However, at that point of time, I believed that if I said something to somebody and I made a promise to somebody, I must keep that. That was my way of looking at life. So if I have committed to someone that I will marry you, I will stand by my word. And that's the reason why I was very sure that this is the person I want to marry. Everything till then was fine. Only one fine day I found myself out of my home because my parents said that either it is you or it is him. But I chose to stand by him because of my word, and I went away from this house. It was something I never thought I would ever been told to do, but I didn't know what I was going to do. The moment my parents decided that they don't want to accept him, so he was like, they have not come forward, so why should I get married in the church? And so I was just married in court. I was just a regular church goer. I went to church, I sang in the choir. Since the Lord had already gifted me with a voice, I used to participate. But after marriage, earlier it was me and my husband going to church. Then later on it was only me going to church because he didn't feel the need to come. Sundays were the days where he would want to sleep. But there were certain things about my husband that were there which I kind of found out. Those were the things that I had witnessed. So I thought that this is all okay and you don't have to complain about it. And since it was a decision that I made, I stood by it by not even telling anybody. So even if I went through certain aspects which were, whether it was domestic violence or whether it was abuse, I did not think that it was necessary to even share it with anybody. I knew that marriage is something that one stands by. One stands by the person one has married, even in good times and in bad. After seeing my own father and living that life and seeing how alcohol made him, I presume this is how people live, this is how it is. So it's okay if you have a little squabble and if there is a little argument or there is a little violence, it's okay, because I have seen that. So I never thought it was something abnormal. It's okay. So I lived my life because all in my mind I remember I have made that decision. I will stand by this person. I will make sure that this marriage will work. And all of the promises that my husband made in terms of getting the children baptized, getting married in church, everything flew out of the window. After my marriage, I worked for some time till my son was 2 years old. The moment I was told that you have to give up your job, I was so happy to do it because I loved kids and I loved to be at home. So I did it with passion. I was like really happy to be with the family and really happy to look after my children. And in the meantime, not only was I looking after my children, I looked after my husband's business as well. The business that we were working on just collapsed and he started something else to do. So there were various businesses that he wanted to do because he didn't have a steady job. And the steady job didn't happen because of various reasons. And when I told my husband that, I need to go out to work because if I'm educated, why should I be dependent on your parents for us? We should be able to look after ourselves. He said, no, if you are going to go out to work, then you should be home by 6. Otherwise, who's going to look after the children? And you can keep them, the maid is not going to be there after 6, so you should be back home by 6. And I was fearful when I was confronted with certain situations when I was then, because a person that you trust suddenly becomes a different person. That was there. I went through various things like various situations wherein I saw infidelity, I saw lies after lies, I saw deception. I had nobody on my side because someone said that the crow was white, they would believe that person, not me. No, I didn't have anyone to side me or to stand by me. I might have not shared till the Lord actually spoke through a friend of mine, and she came knocking at my door because the Lord had spoken to her and told her that your friend is in trouble. And that's when she came into my life. And she although she is my childhood friend, and she had never experienced the Lord the way she did from 1997 onwards. So when the Lord started speaking to her and he told her that you need to go and help your friend, she in turn started actually getting me to understand the word and to understand what it is to pray, and therefore the need for prayer came in at that point of time. I remember that place where I stayed, I used to have this excuse to tell the Lord that I stay so far away, so I'm sorry if I can't make it on Sunday Mass, but you know my reason, I have to look after the children. And I remember him giving me one home and then moving me. The last and the third home was right next to the church, and it was just down the road, so I would have to just walk. In 2 minutes I would reach St. Roch's Church. I used to open the Bible and read it every day, mark things that were in the Bible, and I kind of built myself up to a point when in 2003, when I started getting stronger in my faith, and the Lord started speaking to me and telling me things like, go out and search for a job. The Lord was already preparing me about the fact that I needed to go out and get myself a job. In the meantime, I started getting all kinds of opposition to the fact that I was opening the Bible and reading, although everybody in that house knew that I was a Christian. Now, with my faith becoming stronger, I found a lot of opposition with simple things like opening the Bible, to the point where I was told that categorically that this is a non-Christian home and you cannot open the Bible. However, things took ugly turn when I was told by the lawyer. I got a call from a lawyer who told me that your husband wants to divorce you, and when I asked for what, I was told that because you become very religious and you're praying, so that's why. And I said, is that ground for divorce? And she said, no, therefore I need you to come and I need you to tell you what your rights are. I don't know from where I got the strength, but I was very adamant that I will not get out of that house. I told him I left everything to get married to you, and now you're telling me that you want me to go because I am following or I am reading the Bible and being faithful to the Lord. God was telling me that I should be dependent on Him and only Him, which today I understand. But at that point of time, not really knowing what I was hearing when the Lord was saying through the word, telling me that, for example, a verse like Jeremiah 29:11, where He said, I know the plans I have for you, plans to bring you prosperity and not disaster, plans to bring you the future that you're looking for. I would always cling to that promise, and I saw myself in a uniform, not knowing what I'm going to do. The Lord prepared me much before 2003. He kind of told me, give your resumes. I was finally confronted to the fact that I had to leave the house. It didn't come as a planned thing. It was just one fine day in the evening around, say, 5 o'clock. I don't know what happened to me, but I went, I took whatever I could, the minimum, the bare minimum, because I had 3 boys to carry and take, and I had nothing with me, no money, nothing. But I left my marital home in spite of my resolve not to do it. That day I was told very plain and clearly, leave. I was told, pack your bags and go fast. It just took me an hour to get all my certificates, my kids' books, a few clothes. It was exam time, and I just there was a certain fear when I was leaving. But what the Lord has done for me from that time on till today is only His glory, and that is something that I wish to share. So in 2003, when I left my home, I had no idea where I'm going to take my 3 kids and what my mother's going to say, because I had to take her permission to come back here. And the safest place I could be with my 3 kids was my own maternal home. She told me, how will I look after you? I'm not earning. I said, don't worry, I will earn. Not knowing how I was going to earn, because I had given up my job in computers. Years had passed and computers everything had changed, which means that I would have to study again if I had to go back to work as a programmer. So I really didn't know what job I would do. The first place that I went was the Divine Retreat Center in Tabor, Kalyan, with my 3 boys, and I had a retreat with them. And when I met one of the counselors, she just marked some things in the Bible and gave me some scriptures that she said I should read. And she said, just read them every day. And I just did that. I had gone for an interview before that, and the moment I came back, within a week's time, I had a job. That could have happened only because of the Lord. This gentleman took my interview. He said, I have a plan for you. I think I know where I've got to put you, and I couldn't understand. And he made me a team leader, and I was to handle an entire team, not really knowing about the job. I didn't have any idea about the cosmetic industry or the beauty industry for that matter. I didn't know what a mascara was. I didn't know what an eyeshadow was, because I never put it. I didn't know what a foundation was. But I was not a perfume person. I was not a lipstick person. I was a no makeup person. And so for me, it was like learning the ABCs, and that's what I did. He used my talent, because I love to paint. He used that as a means for getting me into the cosmetic world, and I just started painting faces like I was painting a picture. A promise that he made to me that I would wear a uniform was actually came to pass, and I was in a uniform for a while. I used to look after my team on the floor in the retail shop, but I was never prepared for something like that. So when I was a timid person, from being a timid person to bringing me in the middle of a shop where there are so many people and attending to people was something that I didn't think I would have been able to do otherwise, but he gave me the strength for that. Within that year, in 2003, I got 3 promotions. And I can only therefore say that it was the favor of the Lord that got me to be chosen then. I learned the ABCs of makeup like I would have learned the alphabets, and I decided that I had just 1 or 2 months to become perfect. So I did my skincare. I learned everything about skin. I learned everything about makeup, the nuances of colors and how colors can mix on the skin, and mixing 2-3 colors and what you can get to get different eyeshadows and what effects and everything. I just learned it by myself with no really technical knowledge. I bought some books and started reading, so it was a period. But at the same time, I had to visit the court. Going to my job and carrying out those duties and learning, I had this court thing to do, because now I had to prove that I didn't run away from the house. But how was I going to prove that to anybody? When I was at any point of time, whenever there was a confrontation or whenever there was a problem, I never screamed, I never yelled, because I didn't want my children to know that I was being hurt so I never screamed. I would just act like nothing happened. So even my next door neighbors never knew that there was a problem going on in this family, because I always had a smiling face. In the meantime, before the divorce happened, my ex-husband had already married somebody else, but there was no proof. But my children I had enough proof to witness that there was somebody already living in the house when they used to go as per the court rules. When I had to go to court, I had no lawyer, because I didn't have the kind of money that I would need to get a fantastic lawyer to fight my case. In all that, the Lord provided a lawyer who fights for women's rights, and that was Flavia Agnes. She came through somebody. The moment she came to court, there was a certain silence and a certain respect for the person who's coming. I never asked for this lady. I didn't know who she was. But after that, his lawyer and Flavia Agnes basically decided that it should be a mutual consent and whatever. And finally, I said, I just want my children. So I had my children with me, and in 2004, I actually was able to sign my divorce papers and lead my life. It was always that I would do it, not really knowing that it needs 2 people and a Lord. And I think when I look back at that time, today I see that God takes our every word that we say. We might not mean what we say, but if we make a promise to Him, He expects us to keep it. So a promise made by my husband, ex-husband now, at that point my ex-husband, who said, I will marry you in church and I will baptize my children, but who didn't keep his word. The Lord waited. He waited for a good 13 years for it to happen, but He didn't do it. And I think the Lord was kind to him. He sent people to help him. He sent people on every occasion to help him. But today I've seen the love of the Lord. And I always knew that in my 3 deliveries, the Lord was always there with me. At every point of time, I would keep a rosary under my pillow. I didn't have my mother for the first delivery nor for the second delivery. But I know that the Lord was always there and His mom was always there, Our Lady, Mother Mary, and my rosary was always with me. I think that He built me up to be what I am today, and had I not gone through that situation, had I not gone, maybe I would yet, I don't know whether I would have been alive. I don't know that because of what I was going through. But I also know this, that I don't know whether I would be able to serve in His kingdom. So today, when I look back, He built me up for what He's making me do today. So if I have not been, I didn't have that experience, I would not be able to help the innumerable women that I can today give my testimony and say that no matter what can happen to you, if you believe in the Lord, He will find a way for you. No, you don't need to have money, you don't need to have a home, you don't need to have anything, but if you have His faith in Him, He can turn things for you. Today when I cry these tears, they are not tears of regret of what I did. These are tears of what the Lord has done in my life, the tears of innumerable pain that I went through, but also joy. Today when I don't remember this pain. Now when I share and I think about it, I can just relive it. But otherwise, He's just wiped everything clean for me. Here, what I want to really emphasize is that God's providence and God's grace and God's mercy has been with me every step of the way. From not knowing anything to learning something, to having that confidence that I can look after my children without having a roof over my head, and to take that step in faith. He blessed me abundantly. There's not a time that I ever felt that, unsure, or I don't have money, what will I do for the next day? The Lord had promised me that He would take me to Lourdes. I got a call from my boss one December in 2003, and he told me that, Fiona, I'm going to be sending you to Paris in 2004 because you need to get trained. Before that, I was just trying to learn on my own. The Lord took me to different places in the world. A person like me who never knew to travel on her own to Churchgate Station, but to go to different countries, to visit different places, to meet new friends who were my colleagues from different countries. He took me to places that I never ever thought that I would ever visit on my own. That was His way to show me that once upon a time someone told me that you cannot go to work because you need to come home at 6 o'clock. One thing I learned was that the Lord I learned to tithe from the first salary till today, and I never stopped doing that. And I realized one thing, that if you sow into His kingdom, you don't know the benefits that He can give you. I never thought about the benefits then, but I just knew I had to do the right thing, and I kept doing that then. Even though that penny to give was precious to me, I did it knowing that that was the right thing to do. I always believe that I am special and God has made me special, and I think each one of us is special in God's eyes, and we are unique in His eyes, and He has a plan for everybody. There are no two people that He loves in the same manner. His love is different, unique. He uses me today as an instrument for His glory, and if at all I serve in His kingdom, it is to be a source of inspiration to other women who might be going through similar situations in their life, but who should not be disheartened, but should look to Him for all this solace and for all that He can do in their life. And I think every woman who goes through issues must know that God has a special plan for her too. All she must do is be faithful to Him, read His word, read His scripture, say them and believe that He will do wonderful things in her life. And that is my prayer, and that is my thank you to the Lord, that for keeping me safe, for using me for His kingdom, and for blessing me with 3 wonderful boys. I can only say that I thank the Lord for giving me shelter, for using this home, that is my mom's home, for keeping me here, maybe in her old age, to be that support for her, because I have 3 brothers who are away from the house. So He has His own ways, and I believe that His plans are great, and that His plans have yet to unfold. I don't know but I'm always prepared, and I will always claim the promise of Jeremiah 29:11, and I believe that He will turn things for my good, and I trust in Him. Amen.
Wanna sing of your love,
Wanna sing of your love,
wanna sing of your mercy,
wanna sing of your mercy,
wanna tell the whole world,
wanna tell the whole world
of the greatness of you,
of the greatness of you.
So I'll sing of your love,
So I'll sing of your love,
and I'll sing of your mercy,
and I'll sing of your mercy,
and I'll tell the whole world,
and I'll tell the whole world
of the greatness of you,
of the greatness of you.